Good morning, everybody. All right, we're going to be looking at D, parallel, and perpendicular lines. Section 1, identifying parallel, intersecting, and skew lines and planes. And then 3, look at transversals, name angle pairs. Okay, so I'm going to give you some examples of those and go over some of those problems. All right, for section 1, so identifying parallel, intersecting, skewed lines. It's going to be just the main thing. It's not too hard of a section. Parallel lines stay in the same distance apart. They never cross. So looking at that example right there. Okay, so they both go in the same direction. Intersecting lines, they cross at one point. Perpendicular is going to be two lines that cross and they intersect to form right angles. So it's going straight up and down and right across there, and they have right angles on each intersecting point. Skew lines are different on different planes. They do not intersect. So for example, on this one, this line is on this plane here going somewhat left to right, kind of vertical. And then this line here is going a different direction as well. Okay. All right, so looking at an example, in this cube shown below, which lines are parallel? Select all that apply. Okay, so this is what the IXL problem are gonna look like. Okay, so looking at the different options we have, so we have the green right here. These are not intersecting. Excuse me, they are intersecting, so they're not going to be parallel. So RS, we have RS here, and we have ST, which is right there. So they're actually connected at that S point right there. Okay, so that's not going to work. The other three do work. So if you look at the red, you have QR, and you have XY right there. So they are parallel. They run the same direction. They will not touch. Next one you have is the blue right here. You have RV, and you have QU on this side. So they're going the same direction. They won't touch. They're staying the same distance apart. And you have RS here, and then WV there, so the lime green colors. Those are going the same direction. They will not touch. So they are all parallel in that example. Okay. Look at this triangular prism, which lines are skewed. So that means they're on different planes. They will not touch. So I'm going to start on the right side over here, the purple. So you have IJ and KM. So you have the two purple lines. This purple right here is going forward and back, kind of if you look at the image, and then this IJ is going left to right here. And they are not touching, they're not intersecting. Okay. We have the blue right here, HI and LM. So we have HI, which is back here, the light blue. And then we have LM going across right there. So they're not touching either. This one is going left to right. This one's going forward to back from our perspective. They're not touching their skew. Red here, we have same thing here. IJ is going across this way. And then this one's actually going up and down. So they are not touching. They're not intersecting. They're not parallel. HI and KM. So we have this right here, HI, and then KM's on top there, going different directions. They won't intersect. They're on different planes. Okay, so that's skew. Okay, and that's mainly what we're going to see. So, and then lastly, intersecting. So looking at RS back here, RS and ST. So they are, so let me show you that right there. They are going to intersect at that one point right there. Okay. And that's mainly what we're going to see for D1. Yeah.
All right, our next section, D3, transversals, name angle pairs. All right, some important terms to know and to see. Adjacent angles that share a common vertex and side, but no common interior points. Okay, so example of that is down here in the black box with KLM, with the line T intersecting. creating angle 1 and angle 2. So angle 1 and 2 are adjacent angles that share a common vertex and side, but no common interior points. Okay, next term is corresponding angles. When a line transversal intersects parallel lines, corresponding angles are formed. Corresponding angles are congruent to each other. So that is in this example right here. So I like to think of almost moving these two parallel lines on top of each other, and then those angles would also be on top of each other and they'd look the same. So as you can see, the two green, the 1 and the 5, are congruent and equal. The two blues, 2 and 6, the purples, the reds, they're all equal, congruent to each other. So those are corresponding angles. Okay, supplementary angles, angles that add up to 180. Okay, so that'd look like this right here. So if you add these two angles up together, 120 and 60, if you put those together, you create a 180-degree angle, which is a straight line. Okay. Key thing is the angles don't have to be together. Okay, so they can be at a different part. They don't have to be connected. For instance, here and there, they don't need to be connected there to be 180 degrees. Okay. Alternative exterior angles, angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal and are on the outside of the other two lines. So that is an example here, below, right here. So angles that are on opposite sides. So the two pink angles here, to opposite sides of the transversal, and they're on the outsides of the other two lines. So this is on the far outside line here, and here, as you can see, they look like they're going to be the same angle measurement as well. Okay. Vertical angles, angles that are opposite angles from each other from the intersecting line. If two angles are vertical, then they are congruent, they're equal. So let's take a look. So show you here, 5 and 7 would be vertical angles, but let's look down at the example here. So vertical angles here are going to be the two purple, the X and the X, and then the Y and the Y, the two blue. Okay, so those are going to be congruent. So they're opposite of each other. All right, alternative interior angles, angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal and are between the other two lines. When the other two lines are parallel, then these two angles are congruent. So let's see an example here. Alternative interior angles here, angles that are opposite sides of the transversal and are between the other two lines. So here, the inside of this line there, and then the other, this is the two red points I'm talking about. When the two other lines are parallel, then these angles are congruent. Okay, so these lines are not parallel, so if they're going to hit at some point, then those would not be congruent in that case. Okay, so those are some of the main ones. Same side interior angles you can see here. Same side exterior angles as well if those come up, but majority will be the ones that we've covered. Okay. So looking at this first one is going to be adjacent angles. So again, here's a reminder they have the same vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. Then, for example, ADB and B or CDB are going to be adjacent angles. Okay. So in this one, they're asking, so this is going to be an example problem that we're going to be looking at in D3. And we're trying to find which ones are adjacent. So let me mark those out for you. All right, so looking at, these are different options here. So I marked out the red, which is going to share EFD, that angle, which they are, is on every single one of these four options. The first one is this purple right here. And that's going to be a no. That is actually a corresponding angle. So if I move this parallel line EG down to HJ, they put it on top of each other, these two angles will be the same. Okay, so that's corresponding on that one. Next one, the green, is marked as number 2 over there. That looks like a vertical angle right there. So that is not going to be adjacent either. Okay. This next one right here, let's go back to the definition again. Two angles are adjacent if they have the same vertex and are on a common side but no common interior points. Okay, so they're almost like they're connected together somewhat. Okay, so if I'm looking at this image, it would look like this here. So number 3 is going to be yes. You would click that one for the answer. The last one over here is for the blue right there. That's not a adjacent angle. Okay, so we just select this choice number 3, this one right there. Okay, and some of the problems they have multiple choices, multiple answers. That is, so make sure you look at each of them and draw it out. Take the time to do that. All right, so last one here we're going to look at, which is going to combine pretty much everything. Supplementary, alternative, exterior angles, and corresponding. And I'll even add vertical on there as well. Okay, so looking down here, I wrote them out for you. Supplementary angles for this is going to be, for example, EFD and DFG, HIK, EFD, JIF, and JIK. Let's look at JIK down here, and JIF, which is going to be right there. Okay, so they're sharing that common line, and they're going to be 180 degrees. Okay. Alternative exterior angles here, angles that are on opposite sides of the transversal and are on the outside of the other two lines. So I got KIJ, so KIJ right here, and EFD, so here. Okay, so let's take a look at that one. I'll mark that out for you. Okay. That's going to be here and here. Okay. So these are alternative exterior angles, okay, which is this one down there. Corresponding angles. When a line transversal intersects parallel lines, corresponding angles are formed. So here are all our corresponding angles. They're congruent, they're equal to each other. So you got EFD, HIF, and then you got DFG, so DFG, this one over here, and FIJ. Yeah, FIJ over here. Okay. So corresponding again, like if I'm moving these pair of lines on top of each other, they're gonna be corresponding. All right, and vertical would be across from each other. So I'll tell you right away, this one, the purple that we have written in already, and this one over here are gonna be vertical angles. Okay, same with this one over here, I already have written in, and that angle right there, they're across from each other, they're gonna be vertical. Same thing if I did, let me use a different color. If I did this HIK and across from it here, FIJ right there. Okay, those will be vertical angles. All right, so good luck on this section.